What's good, ladies and gentlemen? I know y'all just enjoyed that Wednesday night's episode. Y'all know this is Recency Bias Radio, where no one is safe from criticism. And you also know that I am your humble host, Dave Smith, Pretty Boy Smitty, Protocol Paul, Pro Game Ultra, Smith Dog Trill. All of the above on the ISET test ACT. You know what it is. Happy Valentine's Day to whom it may concern. I got my red on just for you all tonight. And we're going to get into more of this strategy talk, more of this production conspiracy talk. And also we're going to get into Shannon's infamous meltdown that a lot of the live feeders have known about for a little while now. We're going to jump into that as well. But thank you all for being here with me tonight. This is going to be another fun episode for me. Because let's be real, the episode tonight was pretty trash. It was filled with a lot of filler. It felt like a Sunday night episode. Well, of course, it was a HOH and a nomination episode, but it just felt like one of those really slow episodes. They were kind of trying to just push it along as slowly as it can. They come out of nowhere with some random new twist talking about some vote. Go to this website to find out more. It's almost as if they don't want us to know that they're full of shit. I mean, the timing of this is undeniable, but I'm glad they're doing this. They are further proving how much they're willing to rig this shit. Because let's be honest, I have told you all, Shannon leaving this early is catastrophic to Marissa's game. It is catastrophic. So right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Marissa is running to the DR, crying her little ass out, talking about, I can't ever leave this early. Oh my God. And you got Shannon over here, Miss Try Hard USA. You know, if you want to stop being a target, Shannon, how about you stop trying to beast every competition? How about you chill out? How about you take a page from Mark McGrath's book? Who would have ever thought Mark McGrath would be the opposite of a tryhard? That's his game now. But we're going to break all of this down. I just find it to be very rigged, though, that the same week where Shannon is the clear target sitting next to James, all of a sudden there's some new twist. Now, maybe this twist doesn't show itself until after this week's eviction. Maybe that's their way of dotting their I's and crossing their T's. But my thing is, just hear me out here. If in some way, shape, or form, Shannon wins this veto or James, well, it doesn't matter which one win it. But if one of them happen to win it and then they throw someone else on the block, probably a black person, because everyone in this game is a pussy, right? And I want to really break this down, why it's so dumb for Ross to consistently tell people to put up a black person because it's the easy move. But then he tells us he wants helps them avoid the target. And then if they get rid of another black person, then it's only one black person left. Before you know it, you have to put up a black person with a white person. Okay? Who's going to be the person to do that first? Someone had to jump the gun. And that's why I'm glad someone that just got strategy uploaded into her hard drive like Ariadna Gutierrez, I'm so happy she won this HOH. And it's funny because I told y'all she was picked for that veto in a rig way because I even believe production didn't think she was capable of winning shit, especially a memory comp like the last veto was. So for her to pull out this win, it shows how overrated Shannon is completely. And it's funny because now knowing what I knew from the feeds, but not having the HOH comp to see the optics of the comp, to see what Brandy Glanville and Ari were saying about how, well, when she had a better time than Shannon didn't look too happy. They're right. We saw it today on today's episode. Shannon did not look pleased that she was not going to be HOH. Of course, her revisionist historian self comes into the to give her a confessional later on, and she says something to the effect of, "Oh, I'm so happy Ariana won. In fact, she's the perfect one to win." Well, your reaction didn't show she was the perfect one, Shannon. Come on, Shannon. But see, I can tell those confessionals came from a Shannon that still thought Ariadna was buying the bullshit. We were all buying the bullshit. So I don't blame even Shannon for thinking people were buying her crap because a lot of people were snowed, okay? She was snowed. And that's why I'm calling this episode today Backdoor Wars, because this backdoor plan that went awry, and let's really break down the situation with Keisha. I think production knew that they had to show us what happened before the actual live show in order to vindicate themselves and keep themselves away from rigged rumors. But let's be honest, The fact that you all made Marissa be the narrator of why Keisha had to go, even if Marissa did win the veto, and she may have earned that right to be the narrator, you still have to look at the optics of it and go, I said in the last rant that Marissa is getting all of this information before everyone else. She's on the inside circle. Production is letting her know all this information. Then they allow her to be the narrator of why Keisha went home. It's almost as if they were the ones to confirm that Keisha wasn't leaving because of a bullshit reason. And honestly, you guys will be surprised to hear I'm not mad at Brandy Glanville for her reaction to Keisha, because that was all of our reactions after Sunday night's episode or Monday night's episode. That was all of our reactions, because we're looking at the game from a perspective of why did you join the game if you're just going to quit? It's only 3 weeks long. And I don't blame Brandy. And see, I've been very hard on Brandy, and it would have been very easy for me to say, oh, it was a racial problem that she had with Keisha, and that's why. But I'm not gonna take that take on this. I honestly believe Brandy, in her heart of hearts, I think she was looking at it from the perspective, I have kids too. And it's not fair for you to jeopardize my game, because in a way, Keisha did jeopardize her game. She jeopardized a lot of people's game. Ross doesn't know it, but his game is completely compromised at this point. He thinks he's going to be able to keep Shannon from knowing she almost got backdoored by just hanging around her all day. But this is because Marissa was in that room for 80% of the meltdown. The meltdown started off being just Brandy versus Shannon, because if you all don't know it by now, Brandy's basically the HOH. Remember what I said? Keisha was the placeholder. So it was like Shannon's HOH, even when Keisha had it. It's basically the same thing. Ari's the placeholder, but in reality, this is Brandy's HOH. Brandy is not going to allow Ari to fuck this up, okay? And that's why I'm starting to earn some respect for Brandy, the game player. Now, the human being, I don't really give a fuck about. But the game player, I can respect what she's doing here. I think she is showing that she does have what it takes. She has the cutthroatiness, if you will, if I can go ahead and just create a word for a second. She has that in her locker to be able to do something now after seeing this week. This is going to be a heartless ass week for her, because she is explaining herself over and over again, but she is making perfect sense. And Shannon is straight up just contradicting herself left and right. And I'm going to break down everything Shannon had to say in that meltdown. And I'm also going to flip it as to how she's such a hypocrite. That'll be a little bit later. But let's keep breaking down people on an individual basis from a strategic standpoint. My thing is, if you watch this HOH back, Marissa was perfectly put after Shannon. If Marissa really wanted Shannon to be on the block, why did she do that bad in the HOH comp? And this is where I'll flip it on you, the audience, the Recency Bias Radio family. Ask yourself this. Why did Marissa feel the need to win the veto if she wanted Shannon to go home? And why did she feel the need to throw this HOH when Shannon was in the winner's circle if she wanted Shannon to go home? You see, her actions consistently show she doesn't want Shannon to go anywhere. But in her confessionals, she is lying to all of us. Like we can't see her 24/7. She's lying to the whole house. Her and Ross think that they got the whole house fooled. But see, here's the thing. Mark was in on a lot of those conversations. And if you guys really think, and I'm going to break down this new Final Five alliance, by the way, just to let you all know, there's a new Final Five alliance now. It is Ari, it is Brandy, and it is Ross, Marissa, and it's James, which doesn't make any sense to me, ladies and gentlemen, because if you're targeting James and Shannon based off of the fact that they had a Final Four with Ross and Marissa, why would you include Ross and Marissa, who left you out of that conversation until it was convenient? Why would you include them back on this alliance? This is where I go back to Brandy and go, okay, I gave you a break for what you did with Keisha because it made sense. But it makes more sense for your game to align with the two remaining black people and Mark. Those should have been the three that you added with you and Ari. Not the three that was aligned with Shannon. That just doesn't make sense. And why would you want to go to the final five with a group who was already okay with being in an alliance without you too? I'm speaking about Ari and Brandy. Why would that be the first alliance you try to make? That's just bad gameplay. Now, maybe in the back of their mind, they're thinking, okay, they're capable of creating deals by to you. Then when you add to the fact that Ross is really showing himself to be an Andy, he is willing to go back and forth, lie, be a damn rat, okay? And here's my biggest problem with Ross. Every single time you see Ross talk, he's like, put Omarosa up. Put Omarosa up. Dog, if Shannon's entire argument is I'm a huge target, keep me in the game, that should be also used for Omarosa with all of these other white folks. But they don't ever think about it that way. They are so spooked by the fact that this lady was in the White House. But then they go out of their way to ask her White House questions. Now, I don't know if production is saying, hey, we need a White House segment every episode. Can you guys ask her a question about this regarding the White House? Can you ask her a question about this regarding the president? I don't know if that's going on. Most likely it is. But at the end of the day, though, Ari and Brandy have a chance here to flip the game completely, to leave the three that was with Shannon on the outs heading into next week and make it 5 versus 3. Instead, they're making it 5 versus 3 the easy way, I like to call it, where they're like, oh, we'll voluntarily align with Marissa, who does nothing, who throws comps with in the worst interest of her allies just to save Shannon. We're going to align with her, who has no allegiance to us. We're going to align with Ross, and we're going to align with James, who's clearly mad at Ari for nominating him. Why would you even align with a guy you just put on a block? It does not make any sense. And why would Brandy be okay with aligning with him when she goes out of her way to throw shade at James all the time? So this goes back to what I said in the previous rant, ladies and gentlemen. Remember what I told y'all. I said, I believe Ari and Brandy, I believe they want James to themselves, and that's why they want Shannon gone. This is starting to back up that argument completely, ladies and gentlemen, because think about it. Neither one of them are really comp beast. It was a fluky win by Ari. Let's not look at this as a new trend she's going to build up, but a lot of Big Brother is about luck, so she could win another one. So let me not jump ahead of myself there. But my point is, they realize that the two of them need a comp beast on their side. Can't be Shannon, can't be her, okay? Because Shannon is just too wishy-washy. Marissa can't win shit. Ross, they threw a comp to him, so no one knows if he can win anything. So in the back of their mind, they're almost aligning with Ross and Marissa to get James to trust them. That's what it feels like, right? It feels like they have to bring them two with them to get James to be okay with it. Otherwise, James isn't going. And then you have James with these confessionals in today's episode, completely full of crap. Completely full of crap. Didn't Ari see what happened to the last person who nominated me? Oh, you talking about the girl who quit? You talking about the girl who was only on the block because your friend Shannon completely did the dumbest move she could have done for her game and decided to flip on a women's alliance, which would have protected her, just to have a 7-person alliance, thus empowering the men remaining in the game to actually gain footing? You talking about that led to Keisha going home? James, you haven't won anything. You were not even responsible for Keisha going home in the slightest. So how can you even try to connect the dot as if this is some type of as soon as Shannon goes home, it's going to create a power vacuum. Someone has to take her spot as the head honcho, right? Most likely it's going to be Ross because he just can't help himself. And once Shannon goes, I think Ross will feel better about the guilt in his heart of hearts. Knowing that all of these people can flip on him is making him paranoid, and it is kind of toning down his sass for now. Soon as Shannon goes, or she might not go, this whole new twist coming might keep her. But my point is, when Shannon leaves, or if Shannon leaves before Ross, because it's not guaranteed yet, the veto's happening right now, I'm being told, on the feeds. So nothing's guaranteed. But my point is, if Shannon goes before Ross, we were gonna see the Ross from last week again when he was HOH, when he just wanted to control everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, well, I'm gonna make these. Why is everything about backdooring? Why are y'all pussies like this? Like the season's only 3 weeks long. Oh, if we put her on the one, she'll target me next week. Oh. Well, boo-hoo, okay? How are you going to develop a resume for earning the right to win the game if all you're going to do is rely on backdoors, which you'll always be able to say was a group decision anyway? If you just nominate people, you could still say that was a group decision. So I don't see why backdooring someone. I just feel like people are overplaying. And that's why I'm glad Ari and Brandy came to their senses and said, why the hell? Because it got to a point where Ross was saying, well, if you're going to put up James, put him up next to Omarosa. Like, what? Oh, so Shannon can win veto, take James off. Now it's meta next to Omarosa, and we're all fucked? Like, Ross, what are you doing? It kind of feels like Ross is hedging, and it feels like Marissa is doing everything in her power to keep Shannon around longer. So both of them shouldn't be trusted at all. And I'm shocked Brandy and Ari didn't notice that. And for Marissa, right after doing one of the worst throw jobs of all time, I mean, she was swinging that thing around like it was a baseball bat. What are you doing? You're playing golf, right? Like, what are you doing? The shit is like 4 feet away from you, the hole. What are you doing? And right after she gets done throwing it, she actually has a confessional making fun of Ari for the fact that Ari didn't have her shit on the right side. Ari ended up winning that motherfucker, though. See, that's karma. That's karma. And I'm shocked production actually put Marissa in that light to make her look like a hater like that. Because Marissa, it's like, hold up. But see, maybe she feels like I need to make a fun of her, because if I make a fun of her, it will seem and appear to the casual audience that I didn't throw it. But see, here's the thing. If you want anyone but Shannon to win, why would you be making a fun of the person who took Shannon's winner circle spot? That feels like animosity came from that little jargon, that joke. It felt like Marissa wasn't really pushed that hard by production to make that joke against Ari. It feels like she's low-key mad that Ari won it in the first place. See, that's why I just keep talking, because sometimes I could talk myself into some strategy talk. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, 100%. I think Marissa is just full of crap, okay? Like, full of crap. There's people on Twitter talking about, man, she needs a blunt. But, all right, so now let's get into the Shannon talk completely. Let's jump in, because I feel like we're like in that perfect part of the rant. We're like in the middle, where you just start and socially after the black girl left. This shouldn't be happening. She runs to the room. She's laying down on her pillow, doing the best Audrey impersonation she possibly can do. For some people are comparing it to the Vanessa strategy. Oh, she's crying on purpose. This is her game. Remember, she's an actress. There's a method to the madness, Dave. Look, man, at the end of the day, I told y'all in a previous rant, the white girl crying is a strategy. A black girl pulls that shit and they say she can't hack it every single time. A white girl does it, she has the leeway to be able to have an edit where she rose from the ashes. Black girls don't get that shit. That's why black girls gotta be tough, okay? They have to be. Not to mention the fact that they're outnumbered from a race perspective, like 9-1. So they can't show weakness, okay? And the only weakness they're willing to show is the weakness that'll keep them in the game. But you have a fine line. But anyway, Shannon. Let's get back to Shannon. Shannon's in that she's in that bedroom pouting. James Maslow comes in. Oh, I need you to stop. Stop talking like that. I need you to fight. Fight hard. If I'm James, I'm going to shut the fuck up, let her dig her own grave, and focus on this veto. The fuck am I giving her a pep talk for? If she wins, I'm gone. What the hell are you doing, James? But see, James, you're proving how close you are to her by giving her these pep talks, by being the only one that's talking to her. And then when one by one people walk into the room, and I think James left the room by the time this happened because she wanted to talk to Brandy. Brandy comes in there and she's like, look, as a human being, I love being around you. I look forward to the conversations we have every day. You're just too big of a damn threat, Shannon. And Shannon's over here like, I don't know how I'm such a big threat. I have won one more competition than everyone else. It's like, oh my God, cry me a river. Super Bowl halftime show. Like, what is going on here, coach? It's like, this chick is crazy. And it got to a point where Shannon was saying, if I'm such a big threat, keep me in the game because I am a big threat, which contradicts her saying she's only won one more competition. But now she's trying to somehow embrace the big threat title that was put on her to say I should stay in the game. But then seconds after that, she says, why are you targeting me and not Meta? Meta's a bigger threat than me. He's stronger than me. Huh? Okay. What? In what universe is Meta World Peace stronger than you? Especially if your whole argument for not being as strong as everyone else is winning one more comp. You won 2 more than him. So what makes him so much stronger than you? Because he's a black man? A straight black man? Ding, ding, ding. I can't connect any other dot to how Meta is stronger than you. Oh, because he was an athlete? Big Brother isn't about Meta World Peace's kind of athleticism, okay? James has what it takes to win more comps than Meta. For her to try to act like, oh, I'm not a big threat. Okay, I am a big threat, but Meta's a bigger threat. It's like, what? The habitual lines. She said something about how she has nobody in the house. She has no friends. She never had any friends. You're the only person that had a pregame alliance headed into the game, Shannon. Another blatant lie. And then it's funny because she's saying all this shit in front of Marissa. And if y'all look closely at Marissa's face, Marissa had one of those stink faces, right? She had one of them Eddie Griffin stink faces from the new guy. She had one of them looks on her face like, bitch, you better not air my dirty laundry out. Like she was trying to keep a straight face and just look at Shannon and go, don't tell them we knew each other before this game. I'm pretty sure most of them already know that they knew each other before this game. I'm pretty sure most of them already know. But for her to act like she's never had a friend in this game, which is just crazy, especially when she convinced an entire house to flip on 3 black people. You had somewhere upwards of about 80% of friends in this game, okay? So 80% of the people in this game were your friends at one point. But the problem is you do too much flip-flopping, so you lost your friends. But it's interesting, when Keisha and Omarosa were being alienated last week, that wasn't a problem. That's just Big Brother. Deal with it. That was Shannon's personality then, because she was cocky. All of a sudden, tables get turned. She crawls back into her little ball, starts crying, you know, and she can't hack it. And she's supposed to be a super fan. She's supposed to be the one that deserves to win the game. Ross's words. That's her? Really? If I was in this game, I would be ashamed that I ever even aligned with her. The fact that she's so willing to quit. And stop all this. This is a strategy thing. I don't care if it's a strategy. For you to resort to such a low level for strategic reasons shows that mentally you are weak. You are weak. Did Dan do this shit? Dan had 24-hour solitary confinement. You want to talk about being alone? Dan was alone for a day. And he came up with a strategy to kick that ass. Now, he didn't win the season, but he was alone and he used that solitary confinement to his advantage. You need to be using that time alone to your advantage, but you're spending too much time crying and trying to throw a pity party to bring yourself back into this game. And that's probably going to be why you don't win this veto tonight, because you're spending too much time acting like you already lost. You haven't lost yet. But hey, these people in this game, they feel sorry for that type of child's play, that type of a temper tantrum. Oh, they'll pity that shit till the cows come home. Okay, they'll definitely do that. But let Omarosa, let her show any type of weakness, and they will pounce. They'll just feel like, oh, she can handle it. She's Omarosa. It's almost as if you're a black woman, you're a superhero. You can take whatever shots get thrown at you. And it's crazy because, like I told y'all, none of these people can come at Omarosa without troops behind them. None of them. That's why, if you guys noticed, as the credits were rolling, they showed Omarosa walking into that room when Shannon was on the bed, and Shannon appeared to be saying something to Omarosa. I'll let you all in on the truest tea. And if you guys want to actually look it up, go on YouTube and type like, I'm like, what? And shout outs to Omarosa for being a boss chick and being like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm sitting here for this. Omarosa had her popcorn ready. But see, as soon as Omarosa comes in, now all of the BS all the BS and lies that Shannon are saying about Omarosa's there to check. Omarosa's there to rebuttal. Now all of a sudden Shannon doesn't feel like talking to anyone because she knows her lies will be exposed even further. And that's why Shannon starts crying more. And that's why Shannon starts turning the entire conversation, instead of on what she's done wrong, she wants to make it about what Omarosa has done wrong. Look, Omarosa was on the block last week. We know what she did wrong, but she's also done some things right that you did wrong. How about you take onus for what you did wrong instead of using Omarosa as the reason for everything you did? Stop blaming a black woman for all your mistakes. That's not how life works. And you're somewhere living in South Africa acting like you're the most humanitarian person on earth. But let's be real, ladies and gentlemen, South Africa is ran by white supremacists. That's what they don't want to talk about, but I'll mention it. I'll mention it. Even though it has Africa on the suffix, please do not be misled. South Africa is a place that is heavily gentrified. Okay? So Shannon's like, I'm working for a charity. I'm trying to win this for a charity. Look, there's a reason why you went to South Africa and not Guinea, okay? And not Ivory Coast and not Egypt. There's a reason for it, okay? So fuck all the bullshit with you trying to act like you're holier than thou, okay? Let's just keep it real. And that's what other people won't talk about. But I'm just getting tired of Shannon because she's very entitled in this game. Very entitled. So let's get into the whole Omarosa and her thing. I can't make this shit up, man. I can't make this shit up, man. So she basically comes at Omarosa and she says something to the effect of, all of you knew I was so exhausted. How could you target me this week knowing that I'm this exhausted? And then that's when Omarosa said something to the effect of, not Keisha, my fault. She said, Shannon, you were targeting me when I was in the hospital. You told 3 people in this game to hide my inhaler after I came back from the hospital. And that's what a lot of people ain't gonna talk about too, ladies and gentlemen. If you watch that back and forth between Omarosa and Shannon, Omarosa called her out for asking 3 people to hide that damn inhaler. And you know what was interesting? None of those 3 people spoke up to it being a lie or being the truth, which means it was the truth. And they were just trying to keep their games in check because they don't want to be seen as a snitch to Shannon. But if that weren't true, they would have all taken Shannon's back on that, because that's a crazy allegation there. Saying you're trying to hide my inhaler? That's almost like premeditated murder, ladies and gentlemen. If we want to really be real, now people will say, Dave, oh, that's an extreme. Come on now. But imagine the optics. Let me flip this one more time. Imagine if Marissa had an asthma attack and Omarosa told people to hide her shit. Number one, anything. And did you notice how Big Brother on tonight's episode, they didn't get too deep into her crying and I want to quit. They didn't show all of that shit because it would have completely lost her tons of fans, especially before this voting twist. They wanted to show just enough on the surface to make people feel bad for her to vote for her for whatever this twist could be. That's my biggest prediction. That was why they went out of their way to show Meta World Peace have 2 sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Something failed. But that's why they went out of their way. Protect your ears on that. But that was why they went out of their way to show Meta World Peace have 2 separate segments talking about this Meta World B shit, because they didn't want to show the whole Shannon meltdown. Now, Maybe they'll save this entire Shannon meltdown for Friday night. Maybe. For the veto episode. Maybe they're going to show that before the veto, you know, and go deeper into what led to the veto. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it is suspicious that they had all of this filler in today's episode and they didn't show what everyone really needed to see, especially the same episode you start talking about a secret voting twist. Very suspicious, CBS. Very suspicious. But it's interesting how Shannon says that Keisha didn't have to put up James because it was a group decision. That was her explanation for why Shannon was lying to James. Not Shannon, but Keisha was lying to James. Remember her final speech before she went home on Monday night? She basically told James, look, I did her dirty work, okay? And there is no alliance. She was basically trying to tell James that everything that you think you built up with Shannon is fake and all of that good stuff. Shannon, she doesn't care about Keisha's kids, their welfare. She or her kid. I don't know if she has more than one, but I'm just going to say she doesn't care about her kid and the welfare of her because Shannon is so selfish. All she cares about is what Keisha had to say in her speech about her. She doesn't care about everything that led to that. She didn't wish her well, her kid well. All she cared about was, oh, I may have gotten out of this scotch-free because no one in my alliance buys that shit. Who cares then? You see the cockiness? How does that person become the person that cries in a ball? That's crazy to me, man. It's just crazy. She is showing us Jekyll and Hyde. Like, really. And she is disgusting on both sides. Because when she's cocky, it's disgusting. When she cries for pity, it's disgusting. All around, it's disgusting. But anyway, so I'm going to point out another contradiction here. She says Keisha didn't have to put up James because it was a group decision. But here's the thing. The group decision was to put up James. But Shannon decided it would be best to give Meta his wish and send him home. So even though James technically was Shannon's first target, technically, she would have never pulled the trigger on James in week 1. So that's why I don't really consider that her real target anyway. It's like every day people discuss new targets. People discuss new options. That doesn't mean that's their primary one. Shannon is trying to position herself to James as if, I already told you I wanted to target you at first, but I love you now, right? If someone were to tell me and Big Brother that they contemplated targeting me on day 1, day 2, which is why I'm so surprised that they're so surprised that they're both up together. Like, why are you so shocked? You do everything together. I'm not around James all the time. He just comes up to me because he feels alone. James feels alone. He got all these girls on his jock. He feels alone. He's got Mark. He feels alone. He's got Ross. He feels alone. You got Marissa. You got Brandy. You got Ari. Well, you had both of them. But my point is, all of a sudden you're alone just because you're being targeted. You're choosing to be alone. You're making that decision based off of how Omarosa is acting. Everything Omarosa does makes Shannon react. Omarosa could be talking about the White House. Oh, why is everyone listening to her? Oh. Meanwhile, Omarosa doesn't dedicate 90% of her time to what Shannon is doing. But you would think she is, the way Shannon hates her so much. She's my nemesis. Well, it's funny because your nemesis is going to outlast your dumb ass because you played too damn hard. You should have rolled this girls' alliance. It was built for y'all to all make it to the final 6 easily. But y'all did what most women do on Big Brother. Y'all stopped trusting one another for silly reasons. And that's just what it is. And you can't blame anyone for this but yourself. I mean, it's as simple as that. But yeah, so I'm starting to think maybe Shannon had this meltdown and was notified by production specifically that there could be a voting twist. So maybe she played it up extra hard, knowing that this vote could come to garner some extra votes from the public. I think this is a very vital talking point that we need to discuss here on Recency Bias Radio, mainly because I could see production doing that because, as I told you, Shannon is linked to the hip with Marissa, who's linked to the hip to CBS directly. They don't want Shannon to go. That's bad for Marissa. So at the end of the day, CBS Why didn't you have this voting twist when the 2 black people were up? Oh, it was too early in the season, Dave. It was only the 2nd eviction. So why reveal this in the 3rd eviction? Using your logic, it's too early for this shit as well. See, people got excuses, but they can't answer my rebuttals. So at the end of the day, the timing of it isn't a coincidence. It's by design. So Shannon, yeah, I completely ethered you. Okay, just sit in your place. But yes, at the end of the day, I will admit that I'm impressed by Brandy, her unwillingness to allow Ross to manipulate her into making a bad decision, even though she's willing to align with him, even though he was trying to get her to make a bad decision. That doesn't make any sense, but who knows? It's crazy. On the live feeds, Brandy admitted to being on one of Ross's shows in the past. So maybe they got some type of pregame alliance too. That went over a lot of people's heads. I peeped game though. That was around the same time when Omarosa was talking about the White House that we saw today on today's episode. That was after the HOH when Ross was eating the muscatoli, the noodles or whatever. That was around that time when they started talking about that. And that's when Brent said, oh, I've been on that show. They were talking about Kelly Lately or something. I forgot the lady's name. I don't want to do Chelsea Lately. That's her name. They were talking about somebody that Ross was an executive producer on a show with or something like that. And they were talking about how Brandy was also on the show. So I think these people through small talk are kind of exposing how close they get into this James versus Omarosa thing, because this happened on the live feeds as well. And here's my thing. This goes back to what I said about how people will treat Omarosa like shit because they think she can take it. But, you know, and see, Omarosa is not the type to just cry and let you win. She's going to go back and forth with you. She's going to trade shots. You want to be petty? I'll be the petty queen. That type action. And I respect that about her. Well, anyway, James... basically, him and Shannon are thinking, they're basically pulling straws here. And they're like, we got to figure out a way to make Omarosa a target. That way, if one of us win veto, they'll send her home. Not knowing that this shit is pretty much set in stone because everyone knows they can't beat them in comps. So James decides, oh, I'm going to pick a fight with Omarosa. So they start arguing about a whole bunch of hoopla that really was irrelevant. I mean, when has Omarosa ever really told James anything in this game? And when has James ever really wanted to hear Omarosa's opinion on anything? So they're over here arguing about stupid stuff. But it's just interesting to me how in this Me Too Mafia movement, I went out of my way in one of the previous rants to say that the men are kind of spooked. They're kind of scared to ever argue with a woman. And James has gone out of his way before this HOH was crowned and before Keisha went home. He went out of his way telling Shannon that, oh, I don't want to be seen arguing with a woman. I don't want to be seen doing that, because he even knew the optics of it looked bad. You look like a bully. But isn't it interesting how if the one woman is the black woman and he's on the block, all of a sudden his morals thrown out the window? Now, let me ask y'all this. Omarosa didn't put him up. Shouldn't he be having this type of a conversation with Ari or Brandy, since he has a problem with Brandy? But it's interesting. Whenever he addresses Brandy, he says, I know you have a problem with me, but I don't have a problem with you. And I wish you wouldn't have a problem with me. He acts like a total pussy. When it comes to Omarosa, oh, let's have a group meeting. I'm going to confront her because I want everyone to see that she's lying. You're lying too, bro. Every time James and Shannon say that they're not that close, but then they run to each other to discuss a new plan to act like they're not that close. I mean, what are you doing? What if I'm Ross, if I'm Marissa, if I'm Brandy and Ari, I'm saying, why do you keep discussing strategy with this girl, knowing damn well it's compromising your own self in our 5-person alliance? And for James to actually think this 5-person alliance is viable, come on. But at this point, James has burnt his bridges with Omarosa because he tried to call her out and failed. He's scared of Meta World Peace. He's just scared of him. That's why he said, oh, Meta is meta. Like he's trying to throw shade at him by saying he's just meta. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Meta's incapable of aligning with him. You know what I mean? So he just dismissed Meta entirely. And then you got Mark, who should be his go-to guy, but he makes it seem like Mark talks too much about what if scenarios for him. Or he has some excuse for why he was so close to Chuck, but he's not that close to Mark or something. And it's like, what? So It just feels like James is coming up with excuses to not align with the obvious three. Ari and Brandy, they're not aligning with the obvious three. I mean, at the end of the day, final six, and there's no Ross, and there's no Marissa, and there's no Shannon, I think they're scared that they'll all just duke it out with each other, because then it becomes kind of like Big Brother 18. Remember Big Brother 18, the final six was basically three groups of two. Remember, you had Paul and Victor over here. You had Nicole and Cody, I think that was his name, over here. And then you had James and Natalie over here. That was the final six in BB18, right? That could easily be the final six in this season if they would all get their head out of their asses and play a smart strategic game. But they're all buying the bullshit that Ross is selling. And for whatever reason, everyone is so scared to come after Marissa. I don't get it. What is the connection any of you have to her? None of you even knew who she was coming into the season. Like, it's almost as if production's like, not yet. Come on, give her a few more. You know, and that's why they're working hard to make sure Shannon stays, to give her a few more after the a few more. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm just looking at this game from a perspective of these guys are playing dumb and they think they're playing smart. And that's what's making this so entertaining to me personally. And I know that's making it very entertaining to all of you, because the Backdoor Wars is at a top tier right now. You know, this season is blowing BB19 out of the water. It's blowing BB18 out of the water. It's blowing BB17 out of the water. 16, 15. The only season I can honestly say was as good, probably not better. I feel like OTT was a good season, but BB14 was probably the last good season. It's like BB14, OTT, and this. Those are the last three good seasons we've had in the past 7 years or 6 years. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, man, hey, I got to give them credit where credit is due. I thought casting dropped the ball on several levels, but now that I know these black folks ain't going to be targeted just for being black now, and they can actually gain some footing like everyone else, this season is turning out to be an equal footing kind of game. But the problem is, like I said, we're going to need Ari. We're going to need Brandy. Now, maybe Ari and Brandy, maybe they're lying to Ross and Marissa. Maybe they're trying to keep them close to get them okay with voting Shannon out, because they know that they're that close to her. And they know that James and them were trying to get Shannon to stay. And they know that they need 3 votes to guarantee a tie, 4 to get her out. So maybe they're trying to align with them to guarantee that they aren't directly opposing them in this vote. But at the end of the day, James is on the block, so he would have to win veto to oppose him in this vote. So maybe they're just covering their own ass. You know, that definitely could be at play here. But at the end of the day, I hope next week, if Omarosa wins HOH, I hope Brandy and Ari have it in their locker to go up to her, Meta, and Mark and be like, hey, look, we all need each other. We need to make sure we're in the final 6 with no Ross and no Marissa. We need to get rid of Shannon's dead weight ASAP. No Rocky. You feel me? So that's what I think they have to do. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so the next person I would like to get into, though, a little bit. But at the end of the day, Mark is showing that he has a certain acumen for this game. He is aware of his own reputation, of how he appears. He knows no one looks at him as a strategic threat or a physical threat. He can keep riding this floater coast as far as it gets him. But Mark, I cannot stress this enough. You need to develop a relationship with Meta and Omarosa. Maybe you don't need to develop it with Omarosa because it would be too much of a red flag to this 5-person alliance that's developing. Start developing one with Meta just to cover your ass, because James, at the end of the day, James is covering his ass and he's prepared to flip on you. You need to be prepared to flip on him. And that's what's really real. Because when it really comes down to it, when the shit gets really nitty gritty, you don't want to be the guy to say, oh, I trusted James. You don't want to be that guy. Okay. So that is what it is. So at the end of the day, man, this was Recency Bias Radio, the 7th Rant Backdoor Wars. I hope you all enjoyed yourself. Please like, share, subscribe. If you can, please go to my channel's page and click on the bell. That way you could be here with the most lit live chat in Big Brother history. I think that just sounds clean. But yeah, man, I hope you all are enjoying your Valentine's Day. I hope you all enjoy your Valentine's evening, if you catch what I'm saying. And I hope you all stay safe. And the roads are slick out here. I hope you all have a smooth drive to work in the morning. And I hope you all jump on these live feeds and enjoy some more drama. Because you know if the veto competition is happening tonight, then most likely there will be a fallout if Shannon and James don't win it. You know there's going to be some problems. They're going to be running to whoever won it. Please use it on one of us. Please give us a chance. Oh, my God. Oh. And wouldn't it be poetic justice if Omarosa won this veto? Oh, it would be amazing. I mean, you couldn't write a script that good. You couldn't write a script that good. It would be just as good if Meta won it, but way better if Omarosa won it. And to let y'all know, that way people don't leave this rant thinking Omarosa and Shannon are still beefing. They have made up, but I think most of it was politics on Omarosa's part. Just in case Shannon wins veto, she wants to make sure, you know what I'm saying, she doesn't come straight for her. But I truly appreciate all of you watching this rant with me. I will be back on Friday because we get Thursday nights off now from this point further. The next 2 Thursdays will be no Big Brother Celebrity. So y'all enjoy these live feeds and I'll be back at you on Friday. Deuces. Ayy.